Good morning. Today on Hands On, Senan has a report on the new sign language interpreting service. We meet Owen Nolan, who was recently named the second best athlete in the world of deaf sport. And I travel to Longford to meet Ronan Farrell, a deaf man running his own hair salon. We have a brand new episode of Molly and Mr. Milk for our younger viewers. And at the end of the programme, we'll bring you the deaf news from around the world. Enjoy the show. I'm here today to meet Owen Nolan, who is no stranger to Hands On. We've already interviewed him about his success at the European Swimming Championships in Greece and his experiences as a first year in college. Now Owen has done Ireland proud again, having just been crowned second best athlete in the world of deaf sports by the organisers of the Deaf Olympics. I'm here to talk to Owen about his incredible sporting achievements in the last year. Owen, congratulations on coming second in the Sportsman of the Year award. How did you feel when you found out?
Tom Malloy from the IDSA entered a nomination for me, but I thought it was just for the sake of Irish representation in the nominations. I was only half paying attention to it, really. Then sometime around Christmas, the IDSA texted me to say I was selected as the second best sportsman in the world. I was shocked. It made my family proud, and me too. It was like a Christmas present.
You swam against the man who came first in the CISS award, Bjorn Koch, in the European Championships in Greece and beat him. How does it feel that he got the award?
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed because the guy who came first was new. It was his first time in a deaf competition and he won the award. But of course, well done to him. He broke the world record, which is better than me. I broke the European record.
We were very sorry to hear about your father passing away suddenly last November. Was he a strong influence on your sporting career?
My father used to play hockey for university, but he was happy for me to pursue whatever sport I wanted. I lived at home in Wexford, but had a lot of swimming and water polo competitions and matches in Dublin. And my father was always prepared to give me lifts, even if I asked him at the last minute. He worked until 12 or 1 on Saturdays. But if I had a match at 11 o'clock, he'd ask his boss if he could get time off. And his boss always agreed, and my father would bring me up.
Which of your achievements do you think he was most proud of?
Well, he was proud of a lot of my achievements, but I think he was most proud of the relay in the Deaf Olympics in Australia. In the Deaf Olympics swimming competition in Melbourne, we had a relay against South Africa. We hadn't won golds in the relay before, so my first gold in the Deaf Olympics was the relay. So my father was very proud of that, us beating South Africa. I asked my mother which of my achievements my father was most proud of, and she said the gold from the relay. So I put it into his coffin when he passed away.
You're best known as both a swimmer and water polo player. Which sport do you prefer and why?
Sorry to all the swimmers out there, but I prefer water polo. I think I was born to play water polo. I started playing in school when I was 11, and that's the reason I started swimming, to improve my water polo. It was from there that I got into swimming competitively, and I enjoyed it, yes, but I prefer water polo. More challenging. You know, I enjoy it more, yeah.
You were recently selected to play for the Irish national water polo team, another huge achievement. How did that feel?
When I started to play water polo, I saw hearing players being picked to play for the national hearing team, and I always wanted to be one of them. It was a dream all my life, so when I was picked a few weeks ago, I was shocked. I was involved in the trials, but didn't expect to be picked. I hadn't been training much. After my father, I was in the trials and played well, and then, much to my surprise, I was picked. My next dream is to win the European Hearing Water Polo Championships, or something like that.
You've had so many great sporting achievements in the last 12 months. What do you feel has been your greatest?
Lots of achievements so far. I would say, well, I swam at the Euros and won 5 goals. And while I am proud of that, deep inside, I'm prouder of my selection for the national water polo team. I think my father would be very proud of that. That's the biggest achievement.
Owen, you keep giving us reasons to have you on Hands On as you continue to win. You're a great role model for young deaf boys and girls all over Ireland who probably all want to be the next Owen Nolan. Hands On wishes you all the best in the next 12 months and hope you continue to succeed. The next dream you achieve, please come back and tell us all about it. Thank you.
Thank you. This month sees the closure of Irish Sign Link and the establishment of a new sign language interpreting service, an agency funded and set up by Corla, the Citizens Information Board. For many years, people have complained of funding and administration problems with Irish Sign Link. And so, Corla's new service, with a properly staffed office and 3 million in funding, has been seen by many of us as an extremely positive move. However, at the same time, the move has been met with unease by interpreters and by some deaf people. This report Sign Link service was up and running. So why did Corla decide to take over interpreting services?
Well, I suppose then I should say at the outset that Corla isn't actually taking over the service. What is happening is that we have taken on a role to support the development of a sign language interpretation service. And this role we were given, again as part of the National Disability Strategy, under the sectoral plan of our parent department, which is the Department of Social and Family Affairs. So we see our role very much as supporting and enabling the development of an independent interpretation service.
Why could new staff and more funds not just be given to Irish Sign Link instead of setting up an entirely new service?
Well, that certainly was one possibility, I suppose. And, I would acknowledge the work that Irish Sign Link has done over the years, sometimes in very difficult circumstances. But certainly the clear message coming back from the research and from the report that Perspectives prepared was that the best way forward was to develop a new service.
Do you see the move of interpreting services from Irish Sign Link to Corla as a positive one for the deaf community?
Yes, because firstly, it secures our funding and we will have access to other funding for research, for training of interpreters in specialised areas, which is very important. For example, the CDS offers interpreter training and we have accreditation, but we have nothing for specialised areas. We need focus training for translation in areas such as medicine. And under Corla, we have access to funding for this.
As an interpreter, what's your view and what are IASLI's concerns about Corla taking over the interpreting service in Ireland? We're concerned because we feel the process is a bit rushed and we need to slow down and think about what's going on after the move. Is there a plan there, one that's fully ready for this? Also, There are no interpreters involved in the development of the new service. We can't understand why we, professional interpreters who provide an interpreting service every day, haven't been asked to provide information. The steering committee was set up to oversee the changeover 8 months ago, but has yet to contact IASLI.
The interpreters have been involved in the consultation process. They were involved in terms of Prospectus's report, and subsequently Corless senior management met with the interpreters to discuss the outcome of the report. The report is quite clear in terms of how the new organisation should be structured, and it talks about a new organisation that will have its own board of management. It also talks about an advisory body that will be advising the organisation itself. But it is very clear in the report that Prospectus felt, and we accept this finding, that a much more effective organisation can be achieved if the members of the board of that organisation are there representing their own skills and their own experience rather than representing others, and that certainly would be one important shift.
It's important to have a high quality standard, and Irish Signing achieved this by involving representatives from the 3 organisations, IDS, NAD and IASLI, to ensure quality. But the new board brings big changes. Do you think deaf people will trust this new structure? How will you deal with this issue?
Yes, some members of the deaf community have been very nervous about the changes and their decrease in representation. But the steering committee has myself as chair and John Bosco Conema and Sandra O'Brien representing the deaf community. Not as representatives of the NAD or IDS, but as individuals. So we have that for a while in the steering committee. Leonie Lunny, CEO of Corla, will be picking people for the new board. She has told us during our committee meetings that there will be an interpreter representative on the new board. As for any more deaf people, I don't know.
The report mentions that SLIS will not take on the responsibility for accreditation of interpreters. What do you think about that? IASLI is very concerned about this. The report refers to quality of interpreting services, but how do we assess quality? Quality is not just about the quality of the booking system, the office, the manager, and the accounting system. There should be good quality there, but at the same time, how do we, the interpreters, know if we're interpreting well? We need a way of supporting interpreters as well. Until now, who has been responsible for accreditation? Since Irish Sign Link was established, it was responsible for accreditation. At the same time, different groups were involved. The deaf community was directly involved, and interpreters themselves acted as advisors.
In terms of the report itself, we felt in a sense that accreditation was an issue that was too big for addressing at that particular point. We were also aware that there was an accreditation process about to happen, and we were happy to see that occurring. The view that we have is that accreditation obviously is critical to ensure that the standards of interpretation services are consistent and that they meet a certain requirement. And we would see the new organisation looking at accreditation as we go on into the future.
Yes, that's good. The reason I ask this question is because I believe SLIS will get funding of about 3 million from Corla. I'm wondering if that includes the provision of interpreting for social situations, for GP visits, for example.
Possibly. I mean, the core funding is there to enable the new service to take on the staff that's required, bring into place the technology that's required, cover the cost of premises and the leasing costs and so on. So a lot of it is accounted for. Don't forget, of course, that the new organisation, as with Irish Sign Link, generates an income from the public service providers and the other users of the service in the private sector or whatever. So the whole funding arrangement is something that needs to be looked at, and what can be designated for social interpreting, would form part of that analysis, I suppose.
I'd like to think that with time we will be able to support the new service and its development. We hope to offer advice and get involved in other ways. We've got plenty of knowledge which we are willing to share with the new organisation if we get the chance.
Give us a chance. Give us 1 year to get things up and running, but if, after a year, people aren't happy, they should write in and give us feedback. We hope to have open workshops with people around the country in a year or 18 months' time to get feedback and opinions and find out what people want so we can improve the service.
The report, Review of Sign Language Interpreting Services in Ireland, is being used by SLIS as the basis for the new service, but it has nothing about accreditation or interpreting in private situations, and that's a huge concern for interpreters and deaf people. Corliss say they will enter into discussions, but will they?
Hello and welcome to Chatting with Teresa. I'm in Longford Town. Behind me is a hairdressing salon owned by deaf man Ronan Farrell. Come on in and meet him.
Darling, don't you go and cut your hair. Do you think it's gonna make him change?
So, when did you decide to become a hairdresser? Was it when you were younger or more recently?
Well, when I was very young, I loved to play with Barbies. Loved it. I always cut their hair and was very disappointed when the hair didn't grow back. I didn't realise it was false. So I'd run out to the shop and buy another one and again cut its hair. So that's why I wanted to become a hairdresser from Barbie dolls.
And you trained to become a hairdresser. Did you have interpreters or was it just yourself?
Now, I'd no interpreter on the hairdressing course. That was 10 years ago. Interpreting access was very poor.
Right.
A girl in my class, she took notes for me all the time.
Oh, very good. When did you start thinking about setting up your own hairdressing business?
I always wanted to set up my own hairdressing salon, but thought I'd set up in 10 years' time. But I felt ready. I had the confidence to set up a salon, so I did. I'm happy now. It's my dream come true.
Before setting up the business, were you nervous or worried?
Of course, it's only natural. Everyone has those nerves. While setting up the business, I was nervous, but I realised it would be okay. But without sounding big-headed, everyone said I was a good hairdresser. People heard of me through word of mouth, so I knew that if I set up a business, I would be successful. But still, before opening, I was very nervous and apprehensive, but now look at me.
Now, here in the salon, when clients come to get their hair done, how do you communicate with them?
My clients are easy to lip read, and if I don't understand, they write it down. Sometimes my sister Tina comes over and tells me what they're saying.
Before, when you worked in Dublin, deaf people used to go to you, and when you moved down to Longford, some of them kept coming to you, travelling up and down for a haircut.
Yes, I was very surprised. When I moved back to Longford, I didn't think they'd bother to travel up, but they still come to me. They can't live without me because of communication. It makes me proud of myself. Yeah.
What's the best achievement of your hairdressing career?
When I was living in Dublin and working for Edward Kane on Grafton Street, we were involved in the L'Oreal Colour Awards. There were over 100 competitors from all over the country, and on the night, we got through to the final 10, beating 90 other competitors. I couldn't believe it. It was the best experience of my life. It was just beautiful.
Are there any famous people whose hair you'd just love to change?
Oh, yes, definitely. I would love to cut Donald Trump's hair. His hair is awful. The tuft in the front. What's wrong with him? He should accept his age and shave it off. Also, Prince Charles's wife, Camilla. Her hair looks like a butterfly with its flicks. I'd love to cut her hair.
My hair's a bit old-fashioned. It's hard to do anything with. Can you change my hair?
Yeah, I can. I can change your hair.
Make me look younger? No?
Are you sensitive? Easily hurt, or can you take it?
Mixed. No, be blunt.
Sure. Your hair's a bit like Prince Charles's wife. Hi there. Here's some news from around the deaf world. In the UK, an international centre of excellence in deaf studies has opened at the University of Central Lancashire. The International Sign Language and Deaf Studies Centre will be staffed primarily by deaf academics and researchers. And the centre aims to attract visitors from different communities all over the world. It's also hoped that the centre will influence UK government policy on deaf education and social services. A new Deaf Community Centre, DCC, has been opened in Limerick City. The centre is for both deaf and hearing to socialise together and will have free internet, multi-channel TV, bingo, table quiz, sign language courses and deaf adult education. And finally, over 50 Irish people have signed up for the Deaf Freedom Cruise this summer. For every 25 people from one country, the company will pay for one interpreter. So 2 ISL interpreters will also be travelling. A total of 4,000 deaf people have signed up to go on the Caribbean cruise, making it the biggest ever deaf cruise. It will be held on the largest cruise ship in the world, the Freedom of the Seas. It looks likely to be the biggest deaf event of 2007. Check out the Hands-On website for an exclusive special offer. Now it's time for a brand new adventure with Molly and Mr. Milk.
Hi, I'm Shauna. Hi, I'm Andrew. I hope you liked the first Molly and Mr. Milk story about the weather. Why are you dressed like that? Outside it's freezing. There's ice and snow. In here it's not. Take off your hat. Oh, okay. Did you see the angry sky? Yes. The sky made the ground all slippy. Be careful you don't slip in the ice like Mr. Milk did. Don't forget our words today were snow, angry, slippery. Why don't you draw us a picture of Molly and Mr. Milk in the snowland?
Send us your pictures.
Send us your pictures and you could win a Molly and Mr. Milk jigsaw. Bye!